Hello friends, you are welcome to my YouTube channel Literature Simply. Simple way to learn literature and language. My name is Datta Samant and the channel is dedicated to create content on English literature and language, and it will provide you a very easy methods and techniques of learning language and literature. So friends, like, share and subscribe the channel for coming videos. And in this video we are going to have discussion on literature. So it is better to begin with the direct question, what is literature? And there we find different types of associations with the word literature. In dictionaries we find meanings of the word literature, but they are really help us to understand the concept of literature in its broader sense. In mundane life, the word literature is used to show different things. For example, when we purchase a new mobile phone, we get user manual along with it. This user manual is a literature provided with mobile phone, or a sport kit includes a literature, and in the same way a first aid medicine kit also contains some literature. Do all these examples comprise the concept of literature we are talking about? Of course not. Then what comprises of literature? We have dictionary meanings of the word, and I will not state all those meanings here because you can consult and compare all those meanings on your own. Here my concern is to familiarize you with and make you able to identify the works or passages or lines which belong to the notion of literature. Do the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, Paradise Lost, Hamlet, Robinson Crusoe, Ancient Mariner, or $1,000 comprise of literature? The answer to this question is yes. Now the question is, what qualities make these work literature? Or can we define literature? Yes, we can define literature in simple words. Simply, literature is nothing but any oral or written body of work which consists of particular use of language, gives pleasure and reflects human life in it. For example, epic, poetry, novel, short story, drama, essay, biography and autobiography. Let us list some of general qualities of literature. Here, the very first quality is particular use of language. Literature consists of a particular use of language. It exploits all the means of language. Language charged with figures and ornaments form a beautiful literature. Number two, literature gives us pleasure since it is beautiful, and a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It is a thing of beauty which gives joy to the readers. Number three, literature remains for all the time as literature and becomes everlasting. It is permanent fountain of joy and knowledge. The fourth quality or fourth feature is literature is a source of knowledge. It is past, present and future. Next one is literature does not create in vacuum or space. It has its creators. It has its author, writer or poet. Number 6, literature directs and reflects human life and society. History and culture has a major role in literature. Number 7, literature expresses an ideology or thought of an individual or nation. So this is a very significant quality of literature. The next quality is literature is an identity of an individual, a group, a society or community or a nation. Number 9, every literary creation has particular reasons behind its creation. Number 10, literature basically is meant for entertainment, pleasure and imparts knowledge. But this order and preference has been changing over the years. 11. Literature can exploit any theme or subject from earth to sky, no limit to the subject. Number 12. Literature is the most effective means of expression of emotions and feelings. Next one is literature from ancient times has been considered one of the significant arts. It has artistic qualities expressing truth and beauty of life. Following lines are an instance of truth and beauty in the form of an art of poetry. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us out life's star hath had elsewhere its setting and cometh from afar, not in entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God who is our home. So these lines are derived from intimations of immortality from recollections of early childhood, composed by William Wordsworth in 1807. The next quality of literature is every literature is a kind of revelation. As a painter whose work on canvas makes the imprint on our mind, a poet or an author also forms the same effect on the mind of reader. Next quality of literature is marked by special kind of tests. For example, its universal interest and personal style. A literature can be of universal interest like Homer's Iliad. Now we have some of the famous statements about literature made by literary scholars, and we are going to have discussion on these statements. Literature has various types of branches of study from the ancient times. Poetry being the most ancient form practiced since the evolution of literature, and later the other forms of literature developed in the course of time. Poetry and drama were the most celebrated forms of literature. From the time of Plato and Aristotle, or before them, verse and drama were only forms practiced for moral preaching and entertainment. The above qualities are enough to understand the notion of literature as its primary level. Here are some of the famous statements on literature made by literary scholars. Number 1. Literature and butterflies are the two sweetest passions known to man. This statement is made by Vladimir Nabokov, a Russian author. Number 2. Great literature is simply charged with meaning to the utmost degree. It is said by Ezra Pound. Number 3. Literature gives us a picture of life, not the picture that is actually historically true, but a picture that has its own kind of truth. A truth that includes important elements that science, from its very nature, is forced to leave out. The truth of literature takes the form not of abstract statement but of a concrete and dramatic presentation, which may allow us to experience imaginatively the lived meanings of a piece of life. It is said by Cleanth Brooks and his colleagues. Number 4. Writing is not literature unless it gives to the reader a pleasure which arises not only from the things said but from the way they are said, and that pleasure is only given when the words are carefully or curiously or beautifully put together into sentences. It is said by Stafford Brook. The next statement is literature is the human activity that takes the fullest and most precise account of variousness, possibility, complexity, and unity. It is made by Lionel Trining. Number 6. Literature is the art of saying something that will be read twice. Cyril Cannoli. And the last one is literature is the language well used. It is said by Lawrence Lerner. And now let's see some of the examples of literature. We have here the list of examples. The very first is the Ramayana, which is written by Valmiki, the Mahabharata, Vyasa, Iliad, Homer, Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, Absalom and Achitophel by John Dryden, On His Blindness by John Milton, a philosophical inquiry into the origin of our ideas of the sublime and beautiful by Edmund Burke, Hamlet by Shakespeare, again As You Like It by Shakespeare, and The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. And let's see, can we divide this literature into various branches which are emerged in the latter period. The very first three are the example of epics or epic poetry. Next, Canterbury Tales, Absalom and Achitophel, and On His Blindness are simply poems. A philosophical inquiry into the origin of ideas is an essay. And next three are the examples of drama or plays. Again, we have further examples: Essay on Criticism, Life of Johnson, Moll Flanders, Animal Farm, The Alchemist, The Refugee, The X, $1,000, My Experiments with Truth, and My Story. The very first is an example of poem, which is, though its name is criticism, but it is a poem in couplet. Second example is of biography, and next three, Moll Flanders, Animal Farm, and Alchemist, are novels. The Refugee, The X, $1,000 are short stories, and the last two are autobiographies. So this is all about literature. I have a list of books recommendations for you. The very first book is An Introduction to the Study of Literature, which is written by William Henry Hudson. Second is A Background to the Study of English Literature, B. Prasad. Third, An Outline History of English Literature, W. H. Hudson. Fourth, English Literature, William J. Long. Fifth, History of English Literature, Edward Albee. So these books are very useful for the beginner. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you need this video in the form of written material, please go to the website literaturesimply.com.